Hello everyone, welcome to What If Issei was attacked by Deku and becomes anti-villain with Deadpool's personality part 2. Before we start, please go support Shadow the Player 528 for writing that awesome fanfic. This is the translated version I made. There will be some wrong he or she calling here because it's translated, so let me clear this. Issei is a male in this story. Chapter 6. My story in Kuo. We can see our chestnut and his companion Mina sitting on a bench in the schoolyard. Issei. Well, here we are. What do you want to ask me? Minas. Well, you come from Kuo, no, what was your school life like? Issei. Well, in short, I was the most famous pervert in school, along with my only 2 friends. Happily, the brown-haired Issei replied from behind the mask. Minas. So they did some kind of perversions. Issei. Ah yeah, normally this is where you would leave disgusted or something like that. Why are you interested in knowing about me? Minas. Well, from what you told me, you didn't seem like a bad person, you were just yourself. Issei. Do you really want to know my previous school life? Minas. Well, it's okay if you don't want to tell me, I was just curious, that's all. She said it shakily and somewhat nervously. Issei. Okay, I'll tell you. And so Issei would tell his academic life of how he started being attacked and receiving beatings, leaving him in the worst state that at first they were students of the Kuo Academy, then gang members, and that little by little, he defended himself by fighting, even though he would always be knocked down. How he lied to his parents so as not to worry them. And that during the time he fought to defend himself he emerged victorious, but with some wounds and bruises. Every time he fought he was stronger and stronger, so much that the students of the academy stopped bothering him since, well, there was no room in the infirmary, but that would not mean that he would be freed from the gang members, since they will continue to attack him. Minas. Wow, I can't imagine how difficult it was for you. Issei. Yes, the truth is that yes, not everything was bad. Minas. Really? Issei. Yes, because as time passed I helped whoever I could or whoever I found, and the same thing happened at the Kuo Academy, but there were few students, the rest were just a couple of brainless people, and that's even though some of them seemed to like licking broccoli's ass. The chestnut said the last thing mentally. Minas. And how are your friends? Issei. Are you talking about my only friends Mitsuda and Motohama? Minas. If those are their names, then yes. Issei. They're fine, but I'm a little worried about them. Minas. Why, were they also part of the beatings? Issei. At first I didn't want them to get involved in my problem, but… Minas. But… Issei. One day I was so tired of fighting that I went to sleep in the academy's infirmary, and when I woke up I received a notification that they were sent to the hospital because they were for the gang members I was facing. Minas. What happened to them? Issei. Well, they had a few bruises, some wounds that had to be bandaged, and some minor injuries. Minas. How horrible, and did you do something about it? Issei. What if I didn't do something about it, you say? What do you think I did? I looked for those responsible and believe me, it didn't end well. I left them worse off than they left my friends. Minas. And you asked them what happened? Issei. They told me that they were protecting me while I slept and that they already suspected my situation, and well, I had no choice, and I told them what happened to me and they asked me to train them. Minas. What are you serious about? Issei. Yes. Flash black. You could see what looked like a hospital room, and in that we can see 2 young people in their respective hospital beds resting, and in front of them, you can see our protagonist sitting. Issei. Do you know what you're asking me? Motohama. Well, yes, we know. Mitsuda. Why do you ask? Issei. Seriously, what the hell have you guys gotten into your heads? Mitsuda. Well, we want to help you. Issei. Sai, listen, this is my business, yes and no. Motohama. Oh, please stop it, Issei, look at yourself. Mitsuda. You are worse off than us, and if we add to that the tiredness and fatigue you have, you are not well, plus most of you receive beatings from the kendo ones. Motohama. And sometimes we both get it. Mitsuda. They don't leave us as you are. Motohama. The point here, Issei, is that you are worse off than us. Issei. Well, but… Mitsuda. Please, Issei, we want to help you. Motohama. Yes, friend, we don't want anything to happen to you. Issei sighs without any choice and says the following. Issei. Yeah, okay, but just promise me that you will defend yourselves, okay? Mitsuda. Motohama. Okay. They both smiled through their teeth. End of black flash. Issei. And after that I showed them a little of what I knew. Minas. I see, I'm glad you know. Issei. Why? And Minas smiles saying. Minas. You have very good friends. And Issei smiles from behind the mask and says. Issei. My best friends, if it weren't for them I would still be immersed in my misery, slowly slipping into madness as I let my thoughts turn violent, while depression slowly overwhelmed and crushed me. He spoke in a sinister way, scaring the girl since the atmosphere she felt was dark, and even though the mask did not help to know what face the brown-haired boy had to speak like that, but let's say that he had it like that. At that the bell would ring, slightly relieving the girl and returning Issei's face to normal. Issei. Well, it's better to leave it here, but if you want to know about me, let's talk another day. Issei spoke as he stood up from his spot. Minus also does the same as Chestnut. Minus. Hey Issei. Issei. Yes. Minus. Your face can only be seen if you trust someone, right? Issei smiles and says the following. Issei. Yes, that's right, and in fact. Issei would take off his mask revealing his face while he continued to smile. Issei. You are the first to do it, so I should congratulate you. Minus had her cheek slightly red as brown hair was a bit attractive to her. Minus. How cute it is. The girl spoke in her thoughts. Issei. Well, it would be better to go to the classroom before being late. Issei speaks putting his mask back on while Minus comes back to herself. Minus. If it's true, let's go. And so both boys walk to go to the living room. Chapter 7. The Teacher, the Principal and Kaichu Part 1. It was another day like any other for our masked Chestnut, as he could be seen walking through the park where several people would also be seen in the place. Couples enjoying their moments, families enjoying the day, children playing, elderly people feeding pigeons and birds flying around the place singing to improve the peaceful atmosphere of the place. Issei. Ah, what a beautiful day it is today, don't you believe it? Address to readers. Issei. Very well, what a crazy situation awaits me this day chapter, That's not it, Ayana-sensei. The boy spoke visualizing his teacher sitting on a bench, but you could also see that she was somewhat dressed up, but she looked somewhat discouraged, so he approaches her. Issei. Ayana-sensei. Ayana. Huh. Oh, Haidu-kun, what a surprise, I didn't expect to see you here. How are you? Issei. Okay, just here sensei, who brings it here? Ayana. Yo, well I'm just here having a good time in the park. Issei. Sure. Ayana. Huh. Of course. Issei. Then why does she look dejected? Ayana. Huh. What are you talking about Haidu-kun, why do you say that? Issei. Well, something tells me they stood her up. Ayana. What a pea plant I am, what are you saying Haidu-kun that makes you think that? Issei. Well with how well dressed she is, plus the fact that it's 2:45 p.m. in the afternoon, and how discouraged she looks after being here for a while. Ayana. Wow, I think you caught me, how did you figure it out? Issei. Let's say I'm a very good observer sensei. Ayana. I see, well I better go home, don't you think? Issei. Well you know. What I'm going to tell you will sound a bit daring but do you want me to invite you to some ice cream? This question surprised the Chestnut teacher and she answered. Ayana. You don't have to bother Haidu-kun, besides it is a bit daring of you. He said it with his cheek slightly red. Issei. Well, my grandfather told me that when I saw a girl, whether she was sad or discouraged, I should be polite and kind, that's all. Ayana. Ah, I see, well it seems that your grandfather taught you well, and well I think I will take you up on your offer to go get that ice cream, but what if some other teacher or aluminum from the school sees us? Issei. Let's just say it was a normal coincidence and that's it. Ayana. Do you really think that will work? Speak with doubt. Issei. Do you have another idea? Leaving the woman speechless by the comment. Ayana. No I don't have it. And so, without further ado, the teacher and student went to the ice cream stand that was in the park. Issei would order a strawberry ice cream and Ayana would order a vanilla one with colored sprinkles. What is your favorite ice cream? Then order his ice creams. Issei wanted to pay for both of them, but his teacher convinced him to pay for himself and he accepted without further ado. And now we can see the two of them sitting on a bench and Ayana realizes that Issei is wearing his mask since this would be her chance to see the brown-haired boy's face and our protagonist would see his hand on the mask, leaving tension in the atmosphere. Ayana looked nervous so she pays attention to the brown-haired boy while little by little her ice cream slowly melts. And Issei would lift his mask just to see that he would lift it up to reveal his mouth, leaving Ayana somewhat disappointed. And Issei speaks. Issei. If for a moment you thought I would take off my mask completely, let me tell you that you were wrong sensei. Ayana for her part would be seen with her cheeks inflated, giving a tender pout, and she is talking with her pout. Ayana. It's not fair Haidu-kun, as your teacher it is my duty to know the faces of my students. Issei. His ice cream is melting. Issei saying that Ayana would see her ice cream, and indeed it was slightly melted, staining her hand, and she would see that Issei would give her a handkerchief to clean it. And so for a slight moment of silence between the two tasting their ice cream that they had just finished, and Issei returns and adjusts his mask. Ayana. Haidu-kun. Issei. Issei, tell me, Issei. Ayana. Sure. Issei nods his head. Ayana. Well, Issei-kun, what do you think of school so far? Issei. Well, so far I think so good, since it's only been a few days, so there's nothing new that I think of yet, but don't worry, I'm not complaining. Ayana. Oh, I'm glad to know that, but if one of these days you have a complaint or problem, you can come to me if you want. Issei. I can take care of myself, but it's okay. Ayana. And tell me, have you made any friends yet? Issei. I think that up to now Minus counts as my first friend. Ayana. Oh, that's great, I'm glad to know that. But if their conversation would be interrupted by someone known to both of them. Direct. Wow, I didn't think I'd find any acquaintances. Issei. Ayana. Senior, Director. Director. Hello, how are you both? Ayana. Oh, I'm fine, thanks. Issei. Me too, sir. Director. I'm happy for both of you. Issei. Director. Director. Tell me, young Haidu. Issei. If you want, we can have the talk I promised you. Director. Oh yes, about that talk, of course, if you think it's possible right now we can have it. Issei. I have no problem with that, but I suggest going somewhere more comfortable if you prefer. Director. Of course, I have no problem with that. Issei. You can come too, sensei. Ayana. Hey, are you sure? Issei. You decide to waste the opportunity to know more about me if you want. Ayana. CL, sure, I will accompany you. Issei. Well, there is a cafe near here if you don't mind. Director. Ayana. No problem. Now we can see the three of them at the entrance of the cafeteria, and it seems that coincidentally, one person they also know would also enter the place. Shinomiya. Now, Director, Sensei, and I imagine you are Issei Haidu, right? Issei. Yes, that's right. Director. Hello, Shinomiya Kaichu. Shinomiya. Hello, Director. Ayana. Shinomiya, how are you? Shinomiya. Greetings, Ayana Sensei, and why are you here? Issei. Well, if you want to know, you can come with us, since I'm about to tell my story, looking at the screen again, only with them returning to the present, so are you coming? Shinomiya. Well, I'm not wasting time, so I'll accompany you. And so the four of them would enter the premises, sitting at a table next to one of the premises windows. Since Ayana, Shinomiya, and the director were in front of Issei, not before asking for something as time passed. Issei. Well, here we are, so I'll start from the beginning. Then Issei would tell from his new mind his story in Kuo, of how he was known in the academy as a perverted dresser, along with his two friends Mitsuda and Matahama. They are known as the perverted trio due to their perversion, and of course their reactions were not good. On Shinomiya's part, she looked at Issei with bad eyes. Most of you already know what they are like, right? And surprisingly, it didn't scare the brown-haired boy, since he had a meh face, even though his mask covered it. About Ayana, well, she didn't know what to say, but she was willing to discipline him and his perversion. And on the live side, he would only have a serious expression, but he didn't say anything, and he just continued listening. After that, Issei continued with his academic story until the arrival of Izuku, but they wondered what that student had to do with it, and Issei told them that thanks to him his life of torture began, so to speak, according to him. That at first a small group of gang members would attack him by surprise, always leaving him injured and with almost serious wounds. The babuses by the students at the academy of how they came to use different types of hand weapons, such as knives, nunchuk, glass bottles and electric tasers of different types. How he adapted to combat, as he told them that he had help from a person from the city with techniques to be able to fight, as he would use this as an excuse for the warrior of dreams. The three of them couldn't believe what Issei would be telling them. Director. Did all that really happen because of the arrival of that Izuku? Issei. Yes, that's right. Ayana. But why did you do it to him? Issei. Me. Nothing, I'll tell you the reason why he had to do with what happened to me. And Issei would return with his narration of his story every day. That passed, he became stronger, of how every day the gang members increased. Of course, he only told them that he only knocked them out, nothing more, but when they began to raise the limits, it was that some of them snuck into his house to attack him. Of course, his parents were not there, since most of the time they were away from home, and they would not tell them anything and about their summons so as not to worry them. Obviously Issei left them a lesson, and it was to give them the beatings of their lives, sending them to the hospital. Ayana. But why did you do that to them? Issei. They were already starting to raise the limits. Shinomiya. But that's no reason to do that to them. Issei. Ooh, believe me, if there is a reason to do that to them. leaving Shinomiya surprised with the director and Ayana. Director? Why do you say that, Issei? Issei? Why wasn't he starting to fight with gang members anymore since some of them committed crimes? Ayana? Like which ones? Issei? Fine, but what I'm going to tell you, you're not going to like. Issei would see the three with serious expressions and he would tell them. Issei. Drug dealing, child rape or sexual abuse and white slavery. The three would be in shock to know what Issei told them. Director? It's a joke, right? Issei would give a deep sigh. Issei. I wish it was, but it's true. Shinomiya. But how did you start getting into those kinds of situations? Issei. Why did the gangsters I faced commit those crimes? Let me tell you something, I had no mercy on them. He said in a dark tone at the end. Issei. Obviously, knowing this, I couldn't just sit back and do nothing. I wasn't looking to be a hero with hatred when mentioning that word, so I got down to work, so I started training as much as I could to improve my skills and have new combat techniques. Even a vagabond ex-military man from the country taught me one or two of his tricks, he even trained me in the army. Shinomiya. Wait, that means you had military training from him. Ayana. How did you meet him? Issei. I used to give him some money or give him some of the food I bought around there, and one of those days when I would be attacked as always, he appeared to help me and of course I was amazed by his combat skills. Ayana. I see. Issei. Well, continuing with the story, I faced and eradicated those groups of gang members who committed those crimes. I fought them with ferocity, since I used to break their bones, fractures, injuries, even leaving some of them in a coma, but the leaders were left worse than their members. But the sinister tone in that part, since Issei would release a sinister aura. I will use this as a reference since I did not find one that satisfies me and I also had to cut the. Of course the mask covered the brunette's smile, but Issei would see that his listeners, like the others in the place, would begin to get scared and he stops to ease the atmosphere and decides to continue. Issei. That's how it would be, and not only that, since I imagine you're wondering what happened to the victims of abuse and human trafficking, right? The three of them would nod calmly and Issei responded. Issei. Well, some were saved from you know what, but the scare of kidnapping is clear, some of them, well, you know, couldn't avoid their sad fate of being sexually raped, some already wished for death, others ended up traumatized, and others became submissive to sexual pleasure. The two girls in front of Issei would bring their hands to their mouths, and the director only listened seriously, but feeling sorry and pain for what he heard as well as Ayana and Shinomiya. Issei. And well, that would be the dark part, so to speak, of my story. Director. I see, and tell me, what were things like at your academy? Issei. Well, as I mentioned before, most of the students used to hit me or insult me or humiliate me. The truth is that it didn't do anything to them, since they were just inept and just like them, they spent their time idolizing Izuku and everything, Izuku this and Izuku that. It seemed like they spent their time kissing the ass of that moss-haired guy, and sorry for the vocabulary, but that's how it was. Director. Really? Issei. Yes, but getting back to the subject, as time passed there were certain points where I couldn't stand their idiocies or the blows, so it only happened when I was in a bad mood, so well, basically when I fought, whether it was a small group or two, I would leave them on the ground without any effort, and I would leave one or the other with a warning, of course, they were scared and well. Over time, some had me and others respected me, and not to mention that I used to defend one or another student because some were victims of bullying or rather, bullying. Director. Oh, that's good of you. Issei. Oh come on, director, not only was I a beating machine, I also have my humanitarian side. Ayana. Really? Issei. Well, obviously I used to help whoever I could, or if they asked me I gladly did it. Director. Well, in that case excuse me. Issei. Sorry. Shinomiya. But one thing, didn't the student council president know about your problems? Issei. Well, Sauna Shitori, who is the president of the student council, we had one or another fight like the rest of the members, but in the end some of the students showed or told them one or another situation that occurred in the academy, of which she was not informed, just as the members of the council were not aware of said situations, and over time I got along well with some of them and the others, well, we barely tolerated each other. Shinomiya. Is it for what some of them? Issei. It's just that the student council was made up only of girls, since the school I studied at before was for girls, and then it became mixed, and the majority of students were only girls. Shinomiya. I see. Ayana. Can I ask you a question, Issei-san? Issei. Go ahead. Ayana. You faced all that at the beginning, right? Issei. At first yes, but after a situation that happened to my friends Mitsuda and Madahama, they began to help me in the fights with the gang members, since I did not want them to be affected by what happened to me either. Shinomiya. Now that you mention it, didn't you say you always got hurt? Issei. Ah yes, in fact I have small scars on my body from the attacks. Director. Wait a minute, that means you literally fought every day even with your injuries. Issei. Yes, even some of them opened in fights, so much so that the only place where I could heal myself without anyone knowing was in the academy's infirmary, so much so that I spent the medicines to clean my wounds, as well as the bandages, until I was discovered by the nurse of the place, and this ended up being, so to speak, my personal nurse. Ayana. But why didn't you want to be discovered? Issei. For two reasons. The first, I didn't want to worry those I cared about like my parents or my friends, and the second is that if they discovered my enemies, so to speak, they would destroy the place or steal the medicines. Ayana. Another question, were your two friends the only ones or did you have more? Issei. Well, Mitsuda and Madahama weren't the only ones, since there was one or another like Kiryuika, a girl who is also perverted since she is a yaoi lover, and another was Kiyamabe, the captain of the tennis club. Ayana. And how do you know your friends came back? At that, Issei would look at the reader screen and say. Issei. I think it's better to leave it here since this cap is getting long and I don't think the author likes to write more, right? Watching the author continue writing and he says. Author. Okay, that's enough for this chapter, will last an hour. Issei. If you're right, well this chapter will be divided into 2 parts or more, who knows, and without further ado, this is the part of the chapter, Hitches. Chapter 7. The Teacher, the Principal and Kaichu Part 2. Issei. We're back where we were. Speaking to the reader. Because they were still in the cafeteria. Issei. Ayana-sensei, you had asked me about how my friends Aika and Kiyam became, right? Ayana. Uh-huh. Issei. Well, with Kiryu it was like this. Flashback. It was just another afternoon, but we noticed a slightly injured Issei walking around with some slight bruises on his face. Issei. Damn, these sons of Hitches don't know when they'll leave me. Why the hell are they attacking me? What did I do to them? I'll think about that another day. I would say Issei minors who walk the streets of Kuo until. Let me go now. A female voice would be heard and said voice was very familiar to Issei, so he would head to where it came from just to see someone he knew. Well, it was about Kiryuika, the most perverted girl at Kuo Academy, being in a somewhat wide alley surrounded by 3 thugs. Thug 1. Come on, don't be shy. Valandro 2. If you would love to be with us, believe us. Valandro 3. You won't regret it. Aika. I already told you that no is no. But suddenly one of the boys would touch one of the girl's breasts and another would grope her butt. The girl would be scared, but suddenly Issei would appear, giving a flying kick to one of them while he was in front of the girl, surprising the 2 thugs by stopping the actions they were doing to the girl. Issei would recover from the flying kick he gave by getting back on his feet, and one of the thugs would go to attack him, but he would dodge the attack while the other would also attack him, but before doing so, Issei would raise his right forearm, covering himself from the fist that would be directed at him. And he would say a left hook to the face, and said attack was so strong that it sent him flying a few centimeters and he would fall, leaving him knocked out by the blow, while the other had released the girl. He would only observe, but with fear. After that, Issei would direct a somewhat terrifying look at the subject, terrifying him even more, and then see how Issei would go to him alone, and then spin around with a kick, making it clear that he would give a spinning kick, but he would not hit said kick, but rather he would stop, and then Issei would say. Issei. Boo. The guy fainted from fear and turned his gaze to his partner. Issei. Aika-san, are you okay? The girl for her part was still in shock from the situation of what had just happened to her, and after hearing Issei's voice, she would come to only to see the 3 boys who were harassing her on the ground unconscious, but then see the protagonist. Aika. Issei. What? What happened? What are you doing here? Issei. Let's get out of here first. Looking at the scoundrels on the ground, why don't I think you want to be here anymore? Aika. Yes, let's go please. And so leaving the alley, the 2 walked through the streets of Kuo. Both would be in a somewhat uncomfortable silence because of the girl, but Issei would understand why her silence. Issei. You want to talk about what happened? Aika. Issei. There's a small park around here, if you want you can relax there. Aika. See, can you come with me? Issei. Of course. And so they would go towards the small park that the chestnut tree mentioned, and after a while of walking both chestnut trees arrived and would sit on a bench, and a small silence would be seen in the place. Issei. You can talk when you're ready. Aika. I'm ready. Issei. What happened? Aika. I was walking calmly and I wanted to get home faster, and they appeared and well at first they flirted with me telling me that I would look more attractive without my braids, and then they surrounded me and. Issei. I already saw the theater and I was the one who stopped them. Aika. Ah, thanks for that. Issei. You're welcome. Aika. But why did you save me? Issei. Are you really wondering? Aika. I thought you were going to let them. Issei. Aika. That scream that Issei let out scared Aika. Issei. If you really think that way about me, I would still have saved you no matter what the reason was. Aika. I am sorry. Issei. It's okay, I'm used to it anyway and sorry for yelling at you. Aika. It's not right, I think I deserved it for offending you, by the way, since when do you know how to fight? Issei would get up from the bench standing up and then turn to see Aika and tell her. Issei. I'll tell you that when I feel like it because right now I'm not in the mood to tell it. Aika pouts at the chestnut's response. Issei. And well you feel better. Aika. Yes I am. Issei. You can go home by yourself. Aika smiled and said. Aika. Well, I'm a delicate girl who still needs a noble knight to protect her. Issei. Well, since you did the same thing again, I think you can go on your own. Issei spoke and then turned around and walked, leaving the girl in place, and when she saw how Issei was leaving, she quickly stood in front of the brown-haired boy and then told him the following. Aika. Hey, what's wrong with you? Why are you acting like a moron? I'm supposed to huh? The girl only received a warm smile from the brown-haired man. Issei. Don't take me the wrong way, I just thought you were feeling better since you went back to being the same girl I know at the academy. The girl for her part had a blush on her cheeks at the words of the protagonist, plus the smile he gave her, since the girl's heart was beating very hard being somewhat close to him, and then Aika did not understand what was happening to her being close to Issei, just to give us to understand that she has fallen in love with Issei. Issei. Aika, are you okay? Aika upon hearing Issei's voice again would come to her senses. Aika. Ah. What? Ah yes, I'm fine. The girl would turn so that Issei would not see her blush, even though the protagonist would not realize how much of that. Issei. Well I apologize again for my attitude before. Aika. Yes me too, and Issei, could you come with me? To be safer. Issei. Sure, I have no problem. Aika. Well, it's this way. Aika started walking being followed by Issei to the girl's house. End of flashback. Issei. And then I told her about my situation of what was happening to me in my day-to-day life in Kuo, and that's how she became my friend. Ayana. I see. Shinomiya. If you hadn't been there, we already know what would have happened. Director. It's true. Issei. Then I taught him some self-defense, so that nothing happens to him again, but not as much as I did with Mitsuda and Madahama. I did teach those two a lot. The protagonist would say the final thing in his mind. And tell me, was it the same with Kiyomi-san as with Kiryu-san? Issei. Not entirely but it was like that. Flashback. Now we see our protagonist sleeping on a branch of one of the academy's trees, and while Issei was sleeping, one or another bird would rest on his head and others on his chest, but he would be awakened by a female scream shouting his name. Haidu-san, are you here? The birds that slept with Issei flew away, waking up the protagonist in a bad mood, and he would look to see who was calling him, and at the same time he woke up just to see that it was about the girl that the brown-haired boy did not know, but that he heard about her. Kiyomi, the captain of the tennis club, a brunette and fit girl kept yelling at Issei. Kiyomi. Issei Haidu, where are you? Issei. Stop screaming already. Returning the scream, the chestnut fell from the branch to the ground, standing behind the girl, and she turned around only to see an Issei with a grumpy face. Issei. Can you tell me why you're shouting my name? He's sleeping very peacefully. Kiyomi. Sorry, it's just that I need you to help me. Issei. What for what? Babe. Well, we can talk about it in a more comfortable place since it is very important. Issei. Well, I know a place. Academy rooftop. We can see both Issei and Kiyomi on the roof of the Kuo Academy, but they would not be alone, but there would also be Mitsuda, Madahama, Aika and Sona with Tsubaki. Kiyomi. Issei, why are they here? Mitsuda. You just ignored us. Madahama. As if we were not there. Aika and Sona would be silent. Kiyomi. Well, the truth is that there is a boy who has been harassing me these days. Issei. Very good, serious matter Kaichu. Sona. Is he a student at the academy? Kiyomi. Well, I thought I saw him once, but he wasn't wearing the male academy uniform. Tsubaki. That only leaves us with the clarity that it is from another school. Issei. True, but how do you want me to help you? To be your bodyguard? Kiyomi. Well, if it is possible. Madahama. But we're talking about a stalker, right? We don't know if this guy could be dangerous. Mitsuda. That's true, who knows where it could go. Issei. The only solution would be to catch him. Aika. There's too much speculation, don't you think? Sona. But it's better to be safe than sorry. Tsubaki. Any suggestions? Everyone set out to think of a solution to Kiyomi's problem, and the same one who raised her hand was. Kiyomi. Oh, you. Issei. Okay, spit it out now. Kiam. How about we pretend to have a date, Issei? Issei Mitsuda Madahama. Hiya. The three of them would be surprised by the girl's idea, as well as the three girls present, but one of them seemed upset being Aika. Aika. You would date with Issei? No, definitely not. He would speak in his thoughts jealously. Aika. Guys, I don't think this is a good idea, what if we think of something else? Kiam. Really? But then, do you have any idea? This question made the brunette with braids shudder a little, and everyone would see her to hear her, making her even more nervous. Aika. Well, I don't know, I just thought we better use your idea, what does it matter? The girl would scream at the end, leaving everyone present wondering, well, the girl thought to herself that she was stupid. Issei. Okay, well, if that's the case, then Mitsuda and Madahama will be watching, well, Kiam and I Mitsuda Madahama. Count on it, lucky. Issei's friends whispered at the end. Issei. And any of you also want to participate in this? Sona. Tsubaki and I will be busy, but I will send someone from the council just in case. Issei. Don't bother, besides maybe some of them will be busy. Sona. If you say so. Aika. I'm going too. Issei. Sure. Aika. Totally. Issei. Well, all you need is the day, time and location. Kiam. Is Saturday at 1:30 p.m. in the park okay? Issei. Go ahead. All. It seems the Kiam would be inviting Issei on a real date. They were everyone's thoughts, being Mitsuda and Madahama's pot A with envy, Aika out of jealousy and Sona and Tsubaki, well, I'll leave that to you. Day of the appointment. We can see Issei dressed as follows. Waiting for Kiam at the park as agreed. Issei. Yeah, I hope this works, don't think of this as a date, rather a hangout with friends, who am I kidding? I'm too nervous for this. These were the thoughts of our protagonist, but he would be taken out of that when a voice called him, and with his gaze, he would look for who would call him only to see Kiam dressed in the following way. Issei would have his eyes wide open at how the girl looked dressed, that his mind went blank for a few minutes. Kiam. How are you? Do I look okay, oh? She said while looking at herself, and Issei would come to his senses and answer. Issei. No, not at all, you literally left me speechless since you look very beautiful. Shyly but also honestly he would not speak with a slight blush, and like him the girl would have a noticeable blush on her cheeks at the brown-haired boy's words. Kiam. Thanks, and you're not bad either. Issei. Well, if there is somewhere you want to go, tell me and I will follow you. Kiam. Well, there are a few other places I want to go to, so let's go. Kiam would start walking followed by Issei, but further away from the two we could see Mitsuda and Madahama watching the couple incognito sitting on a bench, one pretending to read a book and the other as if he were playing on his cell phone, and they would be dressed as follows. Mitsuda. Madahama. Madahama. What envy. Mitsuda. Damn lucky. Madahama. But even if we have a grudge against him, remember that it is to help Kiam senpai. Mitsuda. Damn, after all this, where's Aika? Madahama. It's over there, in that tree. Madahama would direct his gaze where he would point to Aika, only to see her behind a tree dressed in the following way. Aika. I know this quote is fake, but I still can't help but be upset. These would be the girl's thoughts as she scratched a tree, leaving the scratches marked. But she would not be alone since a dog accompanied her, this being none other than Steiki, Issei's dog. Steiki tilts his head a little wondering about Aika's attitude, but he would bark to get the girl's attention. Steiki. Woof. Aika. What's wrong, Steiki? Steiki, seeing that he had Aika's attention, would run towards Issei. Aika, seeing where he was going, would see that Issei would be moving away. Aika. Oops, it's not time to get jealous, it's time to run. Aika would follow Issei and Kiam on their fake date, just as Mitsuda and Madahama would start following Issei and Kiam stealthily in order to catch Kiam's stalker. With Issei and Kiam on their date, Issei would basically take her to a cafe to enjoy a dessert. In Kiam's case, she would order a chocolate cake with caramel and Issei his classic cheesecake. It should be noted that Kiam would see the happy face for the first time when enjoying her favorite dessert. After their dessert, they both decided to pay half of their orders, since Issei would pay for both of them, but Kiam would stop him since she proposed to pay for both of them, so Issei, in order to avoid an argument over who would pay, proposed that they both pay half. After that, Issei and Kiam would leave the place, being followed by Aika and Steiki, and in another place Mitsuda and Madahama. The fake date would continue. Issei and Kiam would be walking in the streets looking at one or another store around the place. Issei would also be greeted by some people, and he would return the greetings. Kiam. You are very well known. Issei. Well, I've helped those people a long time ago, some of them own some shops and others own restaurants. Kiam. Wow, you're like a superhero. The girl commented happily, however. Issei would make a disgusted face, scaring the girl a little. Kiam. Ha, this Issei-kun, I said something wrong. The girl spoke nervously with a little panic, and Issei, seeing how the girl was, calmed down as much as he could to sigh and tell her the following. Issei. I'm sorry for scaring you, it's just that I don't like being told that I'm a hero, but I don't understand why it bothered me so much. Kiam. Do you want to talk about it? Issei. Are you willing to listen to my problems? Kiam. Well, since you're helping me with my problem, it would be very bad of me if I didn't help you, and not to mention that I'm your senpai, and as your senpai I have to help my kohai. Issei. Okay, why don't we go back to the park to relax a bit? Kiam. Sounds good to me. And so both teenagers would return to the park and sit on a bench. Kiam. And tell me how this inexplicable hatred of the word hero began. Issei. It was when I had another fight with a group of gang members as usual. Kiam. So you didn't confront them? Issei. Did you really believe the academy rumors? Kiam. Well, not all of them. Issei. It's okay, it doesn't bother me anyway, all the students are a bunch of idiots, but anyway, as I was saying, when I faced another group of gangsters, since I was always attacked almost every day, but in that group there was a student from another school, and he saw that I had won the fight, obviously he thanked me, and he told me I seemed to be a hero. And it was at that moment that when I heard that word I got angry and yelled that I'm not a hero, that's when I realized what I did, then I apologized and left as fast as I could, and to this day I still wonder why I did that. Kiam would just be listening attentively to what the brown-haired boy was saying. Kiam. I see, but you said you helped some people in the city, right? Issei. Yes, that's right. Kiam. So I ask you, how did you feel when you finally helped someone? Issei. Well, the truth is I felt satisfied. Kiam. Well, even if you hate the word hero, that doesn't mean that you don't like helping others, you just have to control that hatred, and one day you will find the answer to why you hate that word. Issei would just smile at the words Kiam gave him. Issei. Thank you for listening to me, Kiam-senpai. Kiam for her part also smiled with a slight blush on her cheeks. Enough. A scream would be heard interrupting the teenager's moment, and they would only see an upset boy in front of them. Issei. Are you the boy who keeps chazzing Kiam-senpai? Hey, that sounds awful. I just want to see my pretty girl that I like. Kiam. I already told you that I'm not interested in you. Please don't make my life difficult and you stay away from my girl. Issei. Seriously, this idiot has been harassing you these days. Kiam. That's right, Issei-kun. Issei. Wait, are you Haidu Issei by any chance? Issei. If I am, what's up with that? Perfect, guys. The guy would scream and then see that he would snap, and several boys would appear dressed in the same way as the subject, implying that he is a gang leader. Issei. You have to be kidding me, you're a gang leader, right? Gang leader? Of course, don't tell me you feel intimidated by my men. Issei. Yer, are you pair of idiots going to keep hiding for longer? Issei's scream would leave everyone surprised, and in that. Madahama. Yes, we heard you already. Mitsuda. You don't have to yell at us. Issei. Oh, well, excuse me girls. Gang leader. Seriously, you three think you can beat us, ha 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 ha. The leader would laugh along with the other members, but Issei, Mitsuda and Madahama would not take his mockery seriously. Gang leader. Hey, listen, my love, why don't you call an ambulance? The leader spoke to Kiam. Issei. Do a Kiam, call an ambulance, but it's not for us but for them, ready boys. Mitsuda Madahama. Whenever you want to say. And so Issei with his friends Mitsuda and Madahama head to the gang members for a fight. End of flashback. Issei. Then we faced the gang members and we emerged victorious, of course. Director. And what happened to Kiam? Issei. After what happened with the gang leader we started to get along, and of course his teammates from the tennis club don't like the idea that he'll spend time with me, but they made it clear to them what kind of person I am, and I got along well with some of the tennis club. Ayana. Well, that's a good thing after all, don't you think? Director. Well, something is something. Shinomiya. Well, I'm happy for you, Issei, because, well. Issei. I know what Kaichu means and it's okay, I don't blame her. Ayana. You mentioned a dog that is your pet, right? Issei. That's right, and his name was Stiky, but he died. That answer left those present perplexed. Ayana. What happened? Issei. What happened to my dog Stiky has to do with Izuku, you see. Issei would first tell the story of how he met Stiky, who survived a cruel act by a group of Stiky people, along with his puppy brothers, of how they would be drowned in a river. How Issei left the group with several of his bones broken to save the puppies, where only Stiky survived, since the other puppies did not have the same luck, and how he decided to take care of him secretly from his parents. How he brightened up his days when he went to play with him, how his friends got to know him and got along with the canine. Until the unfortunate day of his death. Issei would tell what happened that day since he was at the academy and it was break time where he wanted to leave the classroom, but before doing so he would be in front of a student giving a strange package to Issei and he would just leave the place. Issei would only return to his desk to see what kind of content the package contained and to his surprise, it was his Sticky dog all injured and stained with blood on his fur. How the letter that was in the package of those responsible for the death of Sticky at the hands of a gang group, how he went to the meeting place, how he massacred all of them, including their leader, where he would confess to the person responsible for the whole situation of the chestnut tree. Issei would tell that the person responsible for the gang members attacking him was paid with a large sum of money thanks to Izuku Motoriya, since he was the one who paid them. How, upon finding out, anger filled his entire being upon knowing who was responsible for everything that was happening to our protagonist. Issei. When I lost control I was not aware of what I was doing to a certain extent, since when I regained consciousness I was only at the edge of a bridge and would be saved by my father, and then I fainted and then woke up on a hospital gurney because I had a slight coma for 5 days. When they saw that I woke up the doctors examined me after that I had to be in the hospital for a few days before they discharged me, and that was where I told my parents everything. Ayana. And how did they take it? Issei. At first they were upset as I had planned since I knew that sooner or later they would find out, they knew they couldn't do anything since well they had expelled me by then. Director. But why? Issei. Well, it turns out that one day Sona Kaichu told me the reason for my expulsion, which was just a whim of the academy director. Director? What thing? The director of PK Academy would shout, drawing the attention of those present. He would feel sorry and apologize to everyone. Ayana. Sir, are you okay? Director. Yes I am and I regret my behavior. Issei. He's very calm and I understand that, you're also the director so I don't blame you, but anyway, to be honest with the three of you I already knew about that. Shinomiya. What do you mean? Ayana. Please how much do we? Issei. You see, one day before my expulsion, one of the students asked me for help with her friend since she saw her in a suspicious way and she feared that she had been involved in something dangerous. I decided to help her and what I discovered was that she was a victim of sexual abuse due to one of the academy teachers, but it wasn't just her, since 2 more of them were also victims. Ayana. Not there, it can't be. Issei. That son of a hitch only used them as hex toys, but the worst thing is that that bastard would blame me, as well as my friends Mitsuda and Madahama, in case they ever found out. Of course the victims would tell them it was me with the excuse that I would let them go. Shinomiya. I can't believe it. Ayana. How horrible. Director. What kind of school is the prestigious Academy Kuo? Issei. Mr. Director, I understand your displeasure, but I still wish you the best. Look, gather enough evidence to destroy that teacher's life. Ayana. What, would you really do that? Issei. Ayana-sensei, I remind you that that teacher would get away with it, so I'll just say this. I'm a calm person, but if someone were to hurt me or do something to someone close to me, I could become the worst enemy they'd ever want to have. If he wanted to make my life complicated, I'd make him live through total hell. Shinomiya. In one way I wouldn't agree with you, but that teacher does deserve what happens to him. Issei. I made 2 copies of the test since I had the original. The first one I gave to Mitsuda and Madahama, of course, telling what that teacher would do and they agreed with me. Director. And the second? Issei. To Sona Kaichu, I told her the situation of what happened and also a plan. Chapter 7. The Teacher, the Principal and Kaichu Part 3 Final. Issei. We continue where we were. The protagonist speaks to the reader again. Issei. As I mentioned before I had a plan and it consisted of the following. I had to get enough evidence as I could such as photos, targets and more things to prove my innocence as well as that of my 2 friends Mitsuda and Madahama. Then I would talk to the victim's friend about what happened in the teacher's plan. I asked him to talk to his victimized friend to tell the others that their hell was about to end, but for some strange reason I had an inexplicable feeling, so I gave the original evidence to the girl. Flashback. Issei. Hey wait. Girl. What's wrong Haidu-san? Issei. I don't know why, but I have a bad feeling, like something will happen, so I give you this. Issei would take out a USB from his pocket in his pants and give it to the girl. Issei. In this USB there is all the evidence to determine that the teacher is a hexual babysir. If something happens to me go with Kaichu, she knows about the plan. If you get into trouble, look for one of my Mitsuda or Madahama. Girl. Okay, I'll make sure I don't lose the USB. End of flashback. Issei. And that feeling came true since the next day was the day when everything happened that I told you before. Shinomiya. You talk about Stike's death and your rampage against Izuku. Issei. That's right, that part wasn't in my plans, just like my medical visit along with my 5-day coma. The first ones to visit me were my parents, telling them what happened to me, and then my friends Mitsuda and Madahama told me what happened because of my loss of control, and since Izuku was responsible for my problems, I took it out on him inside and outside the academy in a violent way. Ayana. So you had a fight. Director. Fist to fist. Issei. Siep. Shinomiya. And you left it as an ointment. Issei. Yep. Ayana. And what happened? Issei. Ugh, at that moment I felt disconnected, and when I say disconnected I mean that I didn't feel anything, not even the rage or my 5 senses, and as I mentioned before I would only be on the edge of a bridge being saved by my father. Director. Do you mean that for a few brief moments you were, so to speak, unconscious? Issei. Something like that. Then the two of them told me about the girl's situation. Mitsuda and Motohama told me that the teacher would go to the principal to blame us three for abusing those girls. Obviously the idiot believed it, but what he didn't tell me is that the police appeared at that moment. Flashback. Police 1. You are the director of this academy. Director of Kuo. Why yes what's happening officers? Police 2. We have an arrest warrant for Professor Kazuki Toshiro for sexually abusing 3 minors at this school. Toshiro. That's a lie, since I know who the real culprits were, you are committing an injustice. Police Officer 1. There is evidence to prove otherwise, and that evidence was handed over to the police station, and that evidence shows that you are guilty. At that moment the officers would handcuff the teacher, of course he would show resistance, while saying that he was innocent. Director of Kuo. Hey, wait officers. The director of the academy would speak to try to stop the police, since this idiot blindly believed the teacher, but in that. Are you the director of this academy? Kuo director. So that's W who's looking for me. Takeuki. I am Takeuki Kazaya and I am from the education committee to inform you that I am currently leaving as director of this academy. This information would impact the director since he, along with the envoy from the education committee. Director of Kuo. But what are you talking about sir? Sona. I can explain that to you, Mr. Director. Kuo principal. Student council president, do you have anything to do with this? Sona. And if it is, here Mr. Takeuki, who is from the education committee, calls you for the injustice that you, as a director, are. Director of Kuo. What are you talking about? What am I accused of? Takeuki. Vera, I will explain the reason why I came on behalf of the committee, and this is because the teacher ended up being arrested for sexually abusing 3 minors, and you ignored the complaint of one of the students, and said student is Issei Haidu. The director for his part would be shocked. Sona. Besides, you expelled Issei Haidu just on your whim. Director of Kuo. Of course I did not expel that student, I did not expel him out of mere whim because of his warnings due to his perversion since, like many of his friends, he spied on the girls in the female locker room. Sona. Sir, I remind you that in recent months Issei and his friends have no longer made those calls for attention, and in addition to that Haidu Issei went with you to inform you of said teacher, who has just been accused of sexual abuse of 3 minors from this academy, and also with proof that he was guilty. Takeuki. That's right and you didn't believe the accusations, and you believed that he and his friends were responsible so leave immediately and forget about being in charge of a school or academy again for the rest of your life, so right now you have 12 hours to take your things. The director could not do anything so he would leave the office with resin. Takeuki. Miss Sona Citri, as you are the president of the student council, I ask you to inform both the students and teachers and workers of the institute that the academy will be putting education on hold. Sona. Does that mean classes are postponed until further notice? Takeuki. You're right. Did you ever think that we would shut down and close this academy forever? Sona. To be honest, yes, given the reason why you just saw him. Takeuki. Don't worry, I know that this serious misfortune affected the name of the prestigious Kuo Academy. Sona. Okay, I'll let you know what you ask me to do right away. Takeuki. Perfect, the committee will take care of immortalizing the teachers in the situation, and we will look for someone to take the place of the director, that is to say, we will look for a new director for this academy, and he will be more suitable for said position for you, the future young people of this country of Japan. The envoy of the education committee would leave the place just as Sona did to give the warning. End of flashback. Issei. And that's what happened. Director. So the girl you helped went to the police when you were in the hospital, isn't that true? Issei. Yes, that's how it was. Ayana. What happened to the teacher? Issei. The most logical thing was that he was sentenced to life in prison for sexual rape by the 3 girls, plus an attempt to frame me and my friends with false evidence and pay a large sum of money to the families of the victims, as well as my parents, as well as my friends of course, and to top it off, it turns out that the bastard turned out to be a married man with 2 children. His wife upon hearing the news asked the court for a divorce which they ended up granting, and his children turned out to be one is a university student and the other was some kind of businessman, and the victims ended up having therapy for trauma from the sexual rape. Shinomiya. Is that really true? I mean, why did he have to destroy his life like that? And to top it off, he was married with 2 children. For heaven's sake, what a shame they must have gone through. Director. Issei, out of curiosity, what kind of evidence were you able to get? Issei. Well, since as you asked, the tests consisted of sexual toys that you can already imagine, explicit clothing or lingerie with the fluids, so to speak your readers already understand me, he would mentally address the readers and videos of him doing it with the victims, and it should be noted that that was a very, very difficult part to overcome. Ayana. I imagine that since I saw some kind of proof like that I couldn't stand seeing something like what you mentioned. Did he upload the videos to the internet? Issei. No, he didn't do it because even though he recorded his misdeeds with the victims, he didn't say how because of child pornography. Director. That is a great relief for those girls, if that were the case they would not go out into the world. By the way, you mentioned that the professor had false evidence, how is that possible? Issei. I don't really know that part in reality, the one who gave those false tests to that teacher was the one you all already know. Talking mentally to readers again. Issei. And well, everyone knew what happened thanks to the news of how a school teacher from the prestigious Kuo Academy was accused and charged with sexual abuse of 3 minors, the students. Well, I didn't care what they thought of me at that time, then I was out of school for a while and I moved here to Tokyo because my father was given a job and he was to be a chief official. Director. Wow, I didn't expect that. Issei. Just like me the first time I found out, and well, that would be all up to here of my life in Kuo. Ayana. You did go through some tough times, but in the end everything turned out well for you, your family and friends. Issei. I don't deny that, sensei. Director. But I guess even though it's all over you still have those skills that you have, right? Issei. The truth is that if I still maintain my skills, such as hand-to-hand combat, handling of bladed weapons and a somewhat stable agility, I can do stretches, I can even do parkour. Ayana. True, the truth is that I was surprised by your qualities on the first day you came to the academy, and I am even more surprised by what you told us about your life in Kuo. Director. Ayana-sensei is right, and Issei, you can relax since you won't have any problems here. Issei. I'll try it since I can rarely relax since I keep my guard up even when I sleep. Shinomiya. How distrustful. Issei. Why do you think the Kaichu mask is? Shinomiya. Oh right, I forgot why you have your mask. Ayana. Really, I'm serious, Issei-kun. Issei. Yes, that's right, and it's not a reason to draw attention, on the contrary, I try not to draw attention. Director. But something tells me that you always end up getting attention anyway, right? Issei. Yes, you got it right, Director. Ayana. Well, just one more question. Issei. Which one? Ayana. Did that Izuku get any of what he deserved for what he did to you? Issei. Yes and no. Ayana. What does that mean? Issei. That in part he did get what he deserved, but that was only on my part and not because anyone revealed what that son of a hitch did to me, sorry for my language. Shinomiya. And what did you do? Issei. I'm afraid I can't tell that part about jealousy, but I can tell you, dear readers. Issei speaks mentally to the readers. Flashback. We can see Issei in the same place where he always trained. Issei. Here again. Hello, Issei. Issei. Warrior of Dreams. Ah, don't call me that anymore, Issei, since I only told you that name so you could address me. Issei. Huh. And what's your real name? Giordani. I have 2 names, but I will only tell you one of them, which is Giordani. Issei. I see, Mr. Giordani, but why are you here? Is there a new technique that you will teach me? Giordani. I've seen that the person responsible for all your misfortunes, so to speak, was Izuku Motoriya. Issei. Please don't mention that name to me. Giordani. Calm down, I just came to give you something so you will never forget it. Issei. And what is Mr. Giordani? Shadow Giordani would tell him what he had to do, which surprised Issei, and he was convinced to do it since it was time for Izuku to receive what he deserved. The next day at the academy, the former student group of Issei's classroom would see a big surprise, and the reason was the following. On the classroom walls you would see pictures of Izuku kissing other boys. On the board where the teachers wrote what they were teaching you would see drawings of Izuku's face with his tongue out next to a henna-shaped drawing with the message "Izuku sucks it." Izuku seeing this had no way to react as anger invaded him. Izuku? Who was the one who did this, say it once and for all. No one would say anything because the broccoli with legs was angry. The students were scared and others wondered if the photos were real. Then everyone started to hear on the school megaphones the following voice of Izuku singing the following. Izuku, I bought a salami, not to eat, I'm going to put it in my asshole. With open ass I'm going to dance. I'm going to suck this black guy's hick and I tell him. Black, black, black. Split me in half. Half, half, half. I'm going to shit inside. In. Pull my finger I just put it inside. Black, black, black. Black, black, black. Black, black, black. Black, black, black. Poke my finger. At the end of the song, most of the students and teachers laughed, others were surprised and looked at Izuku suspiciously. Izuku would only be limited to hearing the laughter of the students and some teachers. Never in his life had he been so humiliated in this way. His only thought was that if he found the person responsible, he would make his life hell until he died. Meanwhile elsewhere. We can hear the laughter of three boys loudly throughout the place, and said boys would be Issei, Mitsuda and Motohama. Issei. Ha 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 ha, that ha ha yes ha 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 it was worth it ha 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 ha. Motohama. Ha 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 you have to agree that the bastard deserved it ha 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 ha. Mitsuda. Ha ha hey Issei what's going on ha ha if Izuku finds evidence that you were responsible. Issei. Calm down both of you, I made sure that everything went well without any clues that it was me who did it, but I'm sure of one thing, and that is that if Kaichu finds out about this, who knows what he would do to me, and to top it off, remember that I no longer study here. Motohama. True, you are saved. Mitsuda. And when will you leave? Issei. In a few days so I'll be here for a while for now, so I'll see you later since I have to go, no one should know I was here so bye guys. And Issei would leave the place. End of flashback. Issei would just sit there remembering what he did before leaving Kuo. Issei. Well, basically that would be all. There are more details, but I'm sure it's enough, don't you think? Director. Yes, thank you very much for telling us Issei. Ayana. It's good now that I know more about you I'll be able to work with you more easily. Shinomiya. It's good to know that you won't cause any trouble. Issei. Okay, sorry for the bill. Issei would call a waiter and everyone would pay for their orders and leave the place, then the four of them would go their separate ways to each go to their homes. With Issei. This would be in his room in his new house in Tokyo, as he would be playing on his PlayStation 5 Slim, and what fire was the protagonist playing in the new Tekken 8 game. Issei. I finally finished the story mode. Issei would speak and then stretch a little, and then look at his bookshelf to only see a small stuffed animal of a dog. He would walk up to him to take him in his hands only to remember the following. Flashback. We can see Issei on a hospital gurney while sitting on it and the door opens to see a nurse. Nurse. Young man has visitors. The nurse notifies her and then leaves the place and said visit would be the president of the student council, Sona Citri. Sona. Hello Issei, how are you? Issei. Hello Sona Kaichu, I'm still waiting to get out of here. Sona would sit in the only chair in the place to say the following. Sona. Don't be impatient Issei, as much as your parents and I know you want to leave. Issei. I know, it's just that. Sona. I know very well what you want to do, by the way, I brought you a gift. Sona would give a package to the brown-haired boy while he looked doubtful whether to open it or not. Sona. Don't worry, it's nothing bad, and besides they told me about Stiky, that's why it's the gift. Issei decides to open said gift only to see that it was the same stuffed animal we saw. Sona. I know very well that Stiky's death affected you a lot, so I thought this might make you feel better. Issei would shed a few tears, then wipe them away and say. Issei. Thank you Kaichu, it's a great gesture on your part, take good care of him. Sona smiles and says. Sona. I know very well that you will do it. End of flashback. Issei hugs the plush and then puts it back in its place and addresses the readers. Issei. Well, finally the parts of this chapter are over and go seriously 3 parts, it must have been hard for the author. Author? How do you have no idea Issei? Issei. Well, I guess this would be all no good and nothing more to say up to here this chapter hitches. Chapter 8. Get the attention of the popular girl at school. Pretty girls in other words, girls who have unusually good looks. The narrator would speak while several men including teenagers and old men, even those who have a girlfriend, would direct their eyes to a girl in a casual dress, holding a handbag on her shoulder, while holding a sun umbrella protecting herself from the same. Kokomi. My name is Terahashi Kokomi, if I had to say something about myself, I think I am the example of a pretty girl. We would hear the girl's thoughts as if she were addressing the reader and would continue telling. Kokomi. I'm not saying this because I'm pretty sure it's a fact, but I can't keep bragging about my beauty. Then a guy approaches him and says. Subject. Do you want to go out for coffee with me? Bekomi. If I were an ordinary girl, go back to the pig farm and find your own little pig, I would probably say something like that, but I am like that. I'm sorry, but I have to go to school to study. The girl would speak to the guy at the end of winking at him. Subject. Have a good time. The man spoke while the girl continued with her walk. Bekomi. Not only am I pretty, I'm also kind. Do you know what that means? It means I'm invincible. The blue-haired girl would continue talking in her thoughts as she continued walking on her path and then see something that would catch her attention. Bekomi. Millimeters. Terahashi would notice our protagonist, who would be walking on the other side of the street carrying a plastic bag, implying that he is shopping. Bekomi. Wait, isn't that the new kid in my class? What was his name? Oh yeah, I remember Issei. Issei Haidu, wow, why is he wearing a mask? And what a way to walk. The girl would speak mentally while Issei good. Issei. I would walk with a violent flow. Bekomi. There's one thing, maybe I should go and say hello to her. Yeah, I'll do that. Not only am I pretty, I'm also kind, I'm the perfect beautiful girl. In that we see Issei standing at a pedestrian crossing with a red light indicating that he could not cross yet, and in that. Bekomi. Issei-kun, ah, as I thought it was you, Issei-kun. Bekomi would greet the brown-haired boy while standing in front of him, while the protagonist just stood there without saying anything. Bekomi. Very well, now you will treasure this memory for your whole life. You have come across the most beautiful girl in the entire institute while you were in the city, and on top of that I have taken the trouble to run to you. You have completely fallen in love with me, right? It is okay to fall in love with me if you know your own place. It is not your fault, after all I am beautiful. The girl would speak mentally again, and then Issei would say the following. Issei. Hello. He would say it in a dry and somewhat disinterested way and then pass by the girl, and she would give a face of how shocked she was by the protagonist's reaction. Bekomi. Is that all? But then imagine a nervous Issei seeing her. Issei. Oh, ah. Terahashi-san. Bekomi. You were supposed to panic, right? At that point a light bulb caught fire in his head. Bekomi. Oh, right, you were too surprised to say a word that you just had to say to me hello, or else this reaction would have been meaningless. But then imagine Issei again in a way that was upset with himself. Issei. Ugh, I must be stupid, it was a golden opportunity. Bekomi. Oh my thing, you must be cursing yourself now, what can you do? I'll give you one more chance. Because I'm not only pretty, I'm also kind, which makes me perfect. The girl said while she saw Issei continue walking with his violent flow, then Terahashi approached him again trying to stop him with her finger. Bekomi. Issei-kun, hey, don't ignore me. But before even touching it, it evades it very agilely, passing it by again following its path. Bekomi. Not even a bow, can you not see me? Am I dead? Once again shocked by the chestnut's rejection, the light bulb turns on in this new mind. Bekomi. Oh, I got it. To reimagine the protagonist in the following way. Issei. There's no way a miracle like Terahashi running to greet me could happen, right? Am I seeing illusions of her? How much is my heart capable of grieving for her? Imagined as a very insecure and somewhat depressed Issei. Bekomi. He must think it was an illusion, surely his past was so unfortunate that he couldn't believe his luck, maybe that's the reason why he wears that mask. Okay, then I'm going to give him the happiest moment of his entire life. To again return to the masked chestnut walk, and in that. Bekomi would run towards Issei, only this time with the intention of hugging him on her side. Bekomi. Issei-kun, where are you going? But before the girl hugs him, Issei again evades her in an agile manner before continuing to walk. Terahashi. He's been avoiding me, what's going on? If he thinks I'm an illusion then he couldn't possibly avoid me, right? She would speak again with the same expression of shock, while she would just stay there in place with her arms extended and standing with only one leg, since the other was raised, while our protagonist continued with his violent flow walk. And we return to the girl again, the light comes on. Bekomi. Is it possible that even touching an illusion of me scares him? To imagine Issei again in the following way. Issei. Even if it's an illusion, if I touch Terahashi my heart will stop. Bekomi. I hadn't thought it meant so much to him. Issei. My god, that girl is crazy. Looking at the readers, do you really believe what she just imagined? I mean, if I am a bit shy and insecure, I am not as pathetic as that crazy girl imagines. The protagonist would speak as if he could read people's thoughts, but in reality he only effectively guesses what they think, more or less like Tadano God. And Issei would go back to talking to the fourth wall. Issei. And you will ask, Issei, why are you indifferent to her then? That's easy ladies and gentlemen, I've already heard about her. Terahashi Kokomi, a second-year high school student, the most beautiful girl in PK Institute, which makes her very popular. All the boys in that academy are very idiots for her. That is to say that literally all of them are simps, as if they lacked female affection. Issei would speak to you, breaking the fourth wall to the one who is reading this, as if the. Continuing with the story, Terahashi would watch from afar as the chestnut tree moves away, so she goes out to chase it. Kokomi. Hey Issei-kun. Issei. And here we are again. It seems that the idea that she is being ignored does not cross her mind. Maybe in my time where I did not become what I am now, maybe if I were something of an idiot, but that yes, I would not let my guard down. Imagined himself as he was before. Issei. Ot Terahashi-san. Issei. Yeah, I'm sure it would be like that, but the only ones who would be idiots would be those two. Imagined his friends Mitsuda and Motohama. Mitsuda Motohama. Ot Terahashi-san. Issei. In such a way, yes, everything she says is, in fact, true, so she is a danger, so I try to avoid her in any way. The protagonist would continue walking, being followed by the girl. Kokomi. Hey, where are you going? Trying to hug Issei from behind, but he would avoid said hug attempts. If you don't mind, could I go with you? While Issei dodges the hugs, he would only think. Issei. Damn, how do I get rid of her? Issei would watch several people walking on a pedestrian crossing where they would walk diagonally to cross the street. Issei saw his chance, so he continued his walk, of course with his violent flow, while the girl did everything to get his attention, but then she saw that Issei stopped. Kokomi. Maybe he finally listened to me. Yes, finally. The girl smiles when she sees that Issei stopped, but before even getting close to him, Issei would do the following. Kokomi, seeing how Issei disappeared. Kokomi. Huh? How? What happened? If Issei-kun was here just now, Issei-kun, where are you? Now we see the brown-haired boy furthest from the girl. Issei. Well, I managed to distract her, but that doesn't mean she'll give up, since this would be a declaration of war, so to speak, because she'll surely want to see me as an idiot like all the boys in school. Issei spoke as he continued walking with his violent flow. While with Kokomi he was walking while lost in his thoughts. Kokomi. What did I see? He literally disappeared before my eyes, it's like he was an illusion. What really happened? The next day. Now we see the masked man walking, both him and everyone from the academy, through the entrance of the institute, implying that it is time to leave for the students' homes, but Issei would not be alone, since he would be walking and talking with his friend Minus. Issei. And then at the end I did a suplex on the girl. Minus. Really? He did that to every girl who led you into a trap so that gang members would beat you up, and in the end, instead of you getting the beating, it was them. Issei. Well, what can I say? The first time it happened to me, I was going to reject her so that they wouldn't hurt her, but well, you already know the end. Then I began to suspect every girl who wanted to confess what they felt for me, and only did it to those who deserved it, since few were honest in saying that they were intimidated by them. Minus. That's very cruel. I'm sure he's very insecure about himself now. I can't believe that some of those gang members would go so far as to do that to him. They were the thoughts of the girl being divined by Issei, and he would say in his thoughts. Issei. My self-doubt is just a little bit, the rest of it I don't give a damn about. Minus. But, how did you know if a person was lying or not? Issei. I am very observant, since no detail escapes me, even the smallest one. Minus. How much? Issei. It's like you decided to use a new shampoo, and because of the new smell of your hair no one would notice, that's why you did that today, right? Minus. Wow, amazing, nobody had noticed it until now. Issei. Well, what can I say? I'm full of surprises. While the two were talking on their walk, what they didn't know, well, the only one who doesn't know is Minus, since Issei knew that they are being watched by a person, and that person is Kokomi. I don't understand. Of all the boys in this academy, why is he the only one who doesn't sigh for me? I'm the perfect beautiful girl. I made sure you sigh for me. The girl would think with some determination in her goal. Issei. I feel a presence, and it seems familiar. Oh, it's that girl from the other day, let's see who she's dating this time. The protagonist spoke mentally while walking with his friend Minus. While the two walked talking about either Issei's anecdotes in Kuo and also Minus's in his past, while they would be observed from afar by Terahashi. Kokomi. It seems that they are splitting up in other directions, that means that each one is going their own way home. Well, if I hurry I could say that there was a coincidence in finding him, and then he might be surprised to see me. Imagining Issei saying Ofuti Terahashi-san. Thus Terahashi would begin to execute her plan. She would try in a hurry to wait for the brown-haired boy to turn the corner where she would be, and when she did, she would see Issei in front of him. Kokomi. Oh, hello Issei-kun, what a coincidence that we met, don't you think? Fufu, you met the prettiest, most perfect and kind girl again. You should be thankful that I did this because I'm sure you'll be happy to see me, so don't hold back in sighing for me. On Issei's part, this new mind guesses the girl's thoughts and of course he already suspects the girl's intentions and he says. Issei. Yes, good as you are. He would say in a dry and somewhat boring way, leaving the girl in shock at the answer the brown-haired boy gave her. Bekomi. But what? It's like the first time I met him. How come he doesn't fall for my charms? I'm beautiful. Issei. How do I make him see that I'm not an idiot to you? These were the thoughts of the teenagers while they were still standing, and at the moment it seemed that one of the two was going to speak, but then. Hey, what's going on here? Both of them, upon hearing the voice, turned to see three boys dressed in black, leaving their shirts unbuttoned, exposing their bare torsos. One with a thin appearance and a frowning look and somewhat ugly, so to speak. Another one who was obese but apparently this one looked somewhat muscular and about his face, well, I leave that to your imagination. And the last one seemed to be toned all the way from his arms, biceps and legs, and besides being somewhat attractive. And the three of them, seeing Terahashi, sighed. Skinny boy. Wow, but who is that beauty? Bad boy. Ofu is very beautiful. Don't guy. Ofu is perfect, she's just my type, I'll go flirt with her. The two boys. Cheer up boss. The toned boy would address the girl, downplaying Issei's presence. Don't guy. Excuse me darling, would you like to go with me for a soda? Bekomi. I wouldn't go anywhere with you for anything, I'm sorry, I have to go home and do my schoolwork, so please wait for me, but I have to go. Don't guy. Oh come on babe, you're going to love it and besides, who cares about doing chores, it's too boring to waste time on. Bekomi. Being with you is wasting my time, please understand I have to go, so goodbye. Don't guy. Wait, come on, think the best. Issei. Stop insisting, idiot. Our masked protagonist spoke. Don't guy. Hey, who told me that? Issei. It was me, and besides, don't you see that she doesn't want to be with you, so stop insisting, man. Skinny guy. Hey, how dare you call the boss like that? Bad boy. Come on boss, give him what he deserves. Don't guy. You're right, and why are you wearing a mask, are you a superhero? To impress this girl, ha 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 ha. The three boys would start laughing, while Issei would get upset because the toned boy told him his forbidden word. While Terahashi would be scared to see what would start a fight that she unconsciously caused. And the toned boy would stop laughing only to say the following. Don't guy. Okay, I'm here, I'll let you hit me first. Skinny guy. Oh, the boss is being nice. Bad guy. You better be grateful to the boss for being nice to you. Issei. Sure. The protagonist asks while the toned boy with a confident attitude answers. Don't guy. Go ahead idio. Issei would give a high kick to the toned guy's head so fast that he couldn't react and thus fell to the ground knocked out. Skinny boy. Oh, what? Bekomi. What happened? Bad boy. The boss just fell. Issei. Hey, you two. The two boys accompanying the toned boy would look at our masked man. Issei. You better take this idiot who is on the ground with you if you don't want to be next. The protagonist would speak, releasing a slight aura, scaring the two boys carrying their boss, running scared and Issei, seeing that they fled from him, goes to Terahashi. Issei. Are you okay? Terahashi would break out of his little trance upon hearing his question and only to see the masked brown-haired boy. Bekomi. This one yes, I am. The girl spoke with a slight blush on her cheeks. Issei. Okay, can you go home alone? Bekomi. Yes, I'm going this way. The girl spoke quickly to run out of the place and then I heard her say the following. Bekomi. Goodbye and sorry for putting you in trouble, see you later. And so he would leave the place leaving Issei alone on the street. Issei. Well at least it will be okay. Back with the girl, we would see her continue running only to see her agitated and stop to take a breath. Bekomi. What happened? My plan was only to hear Issei sigh for me because of how beautiful and perfect I am, but those delinquents appear and ruin it. The girl would speak mentally in an annoying way. Bekomi. But I didn't think that Issei-kun would become strong enough to knock someone out with just one kick, but when he asked me if I was okay, he said it in a warm and concerned way. It was very different from how he responded to greet me, and also how he gave a warning to those two who were accompanying that big idiot that he insisted on going out with me was something manly on his part. That was so great. She stretches out thinking with a blush on her cheeks about Issei, but at that moment she stopped her thoughts, realizing Issei's way of thinking. Bekomi. And no, this can't be. Why am I thinking about Issei like this, is it me? What is this? What is this feeling that is invading my heart? No way, have I fallen in love with Issei-kun? The girl's thoughts would be again towards the masked brown-haired man. Returning with Issei. He had already arrived home and we would see him in his room without his mask, since when he is at home he does not use it, except in case visitors ever arrive. Issei. Yeah, what a day, but well, what can you do, and now that we leave this chapter here, what? Issei would speak while looking at the reader. Issei. Well, maybe we can continue a little longer, so what could I do? I would be thinking. Issei. Oh, I know, how about we sing a song? Now at this moment Issei would search his phone for a song to sing, and before playing the song, he would see the reader. Issei. Oh wait, how about we sing together, take this? Handing a microphone to the reader, and then Issei plays the song. Goodbye, my love, or Under This Pink Sky. And I went to the right. And you went to the left. I love you and I will never forget you. Before I express my love to you, my heart can't say it. A shower of rose petals stops us. They are like a soft melody. But I know it's the truth. That will never happen. That light will announce the love that will end. Pink color. I love you, and forever. I love you. Issei. Wow, well now yes, with this we finish the chapter, so without further ado, this chapter hitches. Let me know in the comments below if you guys want the next part. Also check out my other video that has been shown and left. Thank you for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please like and share this video. And have a fantastic day. Bye.